Office from Bonn, Germany. We have Dr. Juma Muhwana, the CEO, Kenya National Qualifications Authority. We have the PS, who is also our chief guest, Dr. Kevit Desai, Principal Secretary, Vocational and Technical Education. Dr. Kipkiri Langat, the CEO, Technical and Vocational Education Training Authority, as well as Dr. Gwentai, the CEO, Curriculum Development and Certification Council. Once again, the two topics that we are covering at this particular hour: competency-based education training curriculum, as well as the harmonization and recognition of qualification. And I'd love to start with you, Max Ehlers. You're based majorly in Bonn, Germany. Germany is a world leader as far as technical and vocational education training is discussed or is concerned. When you talk about Germany, you talk about more than 50% of young people who prefer to go the TVET system and not the conventional system. How did we get here?
Thank you very much. Yeah, good question. I didn't know that figure, 50%. There is a history in Germany of dual TVET. So the idea being that you do not learn skills primarily in school, but you have to go to the workplace to learn them. So you're placed as an apprentice in a company, in an enterprise, so you learn where you'll ultimately practice the skill. So I think that's one of the keys to the German system. So it used to be that if you are a Meister in German, that was valued very high. But I would also say that things are changing in Germany. As everywhere, sometimes people think, oh, we need to aim higher, we need to go to university. So that's one thing. But yeah, there's also major issues in Germany. It's not easy to find. I've talked to many people who said it's difficult to find good young people to go into TVET. So even though we have, this very good system historically, we also have to deal with our challenges in Germany.
How did we encourage young people to take up TVET? Because it is one of the major challenges that we have, the attitude towards TVET.
I think what's important to go into TVET is that you have the feeling that there's a recognition of what you're doing and that you have very good prospects of having a respectable position, to make money, to have a safe job. Yeah, so that's what's important to go into TVET.
All right, PS, Kenya is moving towards different curriculums, different forms of education. We are moving to the 2633 kind of education system. We are looking at more competence-based training and more skilled training. How far are we in terms of just rolling this out?
I think that we've made significant progress. We have, to start with, we have all the policy frameworks as well as the legislation, the agencies that are chief and focused on in terms of the quality assurance and accreditation systems, as well as the agencies and structures that promote curriculums and assessment systems and the entire value chain of competency-based education and training, which starts with the technical needs analysis and then goes into developing occupational standards, curriculum, work-integrated learning capacities and standards, and all the way to assessment. This is all within the final progress, and we feel that by January next year, we should be able to start implementing it throughout the country. In fact, various institutions have already started, and competency-based education and training not only requires infrastructure, equipment, and train-the-trainer programs, which are also within our scope, but it also requires an involvement by industry as well as other key stakeholders in order to address the very aspects that we're trying to establish in terms of quality and relevance of skills. So I'd say that we're making tremendous progress, and we're actually ready now to roll it out in January.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that have taken place so far that give you the confidence that we are ready for January? We're talking about training, putting in place infrastructure, and things like that.
There are several reforms that have taken place that now establish us in a position to effectively transition into competency-based education and training. First of all, one of the most important issues is, of course, the quality and relevance of training. And what we have done is we have moved 4,000 trainers from the Teacher Service Commission to the Public Service Commission, with a view of seeing how we are able to not only address their social welfare, but turn them into true trainers, almost coaches, which transfer skills and competencies efficiently to young people. This scheme will create a dedicated structure which further promotes their involvement in research, as well as upskilling, skills development, the ability for them to be assessors, and so on. And this is the entire value chain. Yet another reform is the government's policy as far as its focus on promoting access and equity by ensuring that capitation as well as bursaries are provided to students who'd like to participate in TVET education. This then promotes young people to easily access this education. Various strategic plans, including the competency-based education training framework, has been launched. Today we're launching yet another strategy, and all the systems and structures are there. We're also seeing huge investment in terms of infrastructure and equipment within all our institutions in order to be a reflection of the work environment and prepare young people to be able to transition into highly skilled capacities that would then benefit industry. So all of this has taken place, and we're now in a position to see to it that these very elements are there to support the transition into competency-based education and training.
Dr. Gwantai, how would you describe the understanding of what this curriculum entails? Because, like I mentioned earlier, we have heard a lot about curriculum change. We've been told that this is going to be better, this will make our education system better, and it's going to reflect once, students get into the job market. But do you think the students, the trainers, understand what this entails?
Okay, thanks a lot for the question. What I may say is that this curriculum...
We have a problem. Yes, just keep speaking.
Hello?
Okay, you can use his as we try to sort that out. Thank you.
Yes, thanks a lot. And what I may inform you is that the current curriculum we are talking about is what you may see, it's outcome-based. In other words, it is industry-driven. It's the industry that has participated in the validation of that curriculum, having developed the occupational standards. Mm-hmm. The occupational standards here we're talking about, they give us the statements of performance, what the industry requires. And Wajala, as we are talking right now, we are talking of sustainable development goals. Mm-hmm. There are three main items on sustainable development. That is economic sustainability, the social stability, as well as environmental sustainability. Here, even in our current curriculum, the people of the industry, we ask them, what are the issues of sustainable use of resources as well as prevention of the environment? And we have a unit on that. The same case, they must also give us the information concerning the employability skills required for that person or that worker to perform in the field of work. And then we also train them on entrepreneurship skills to be employers as well as to be better employees and even manage their own businesses.
Mm-hmm. Yes, just go ahead.
Therefore, in this case, what I may inform you is that for us, we adopted a system that is used elsewhere, what we call a DACOM, developing a curriculum. It's just an acronym out of it, whereby we believe that the expert workers are the best people who can give the information as what is required in the market. Even if you perform or you conduct the research or a training needs assessment, you'll come back to the expert work. Because many people have expressed and they have given us information and they have told us that really what they do, even you to some extent, what you are trained to some extent is not what you do. It's right now is the best. Right now you can give more information of what is required. What somebody like an editor or maybe a journalist should behave, what should they exhibit, and what should they be trained. And that is what we are using right now.
Talking about training, there have been issues of the skills gap that the job market is demanding, but they're not getting it from students who are coming from school. Dr. Langat, you're from the authority that deals majorly with the quality of education that we get in schools. How are we seeking to address this issue?
Okay, thank you. TVET authority basically regulate and coordinate training in the country. And we do this through the accreditation of programs, institution offering these programs, and the trainers that will be delivering these programs. And that alone makes sure that the training system that we have is the one that will be responsive to the requirements and the demands of the industry. We also determine what we call the national training objectives, which must be in tandem with the national development agendas, regional and international. And that means at all times, the training system that we put in place must be the one that will be addressing the requirements of the industry. We also provide or we set standards and guidelines that will be used for the quality assurance, entire quality assurance provision in the training system, right from curriculum design, curriculum development, curriculum approval, or programs approval, delivery, assessment, all the way to certification, where the certification or the certificates that will be obtained from our training institution must be in line with what Kenya National Qualification Authority requires. And finally, we provide advisory services to the government in terms of training, so that at any given time, should there be any change in terms of policy, in terms of priority areas, that priority must be based on what is the current dynamics within the market. And therefore, our training system at all times must be in tandem with the requirements of the industry.
Do you think we're on the right track as far as addressing that is concerned?
Yes. As my colleagues have already said, the current training, which is supported by the curriculum that I've developed, the policies that have already been put in place, as the PS has said, have allowed us to make sure that we work very closely, unlike before, with the consumers of our training products, which is the industry. Mm-hmm. And we are very happy that we are already seeing the response in the industry in terms of the uptakes of our training. And also we believe that the economic growth and development in all the sectors of economy will be a replica of the product of our education system. And I think we are on the right track.
Just before I get to you, Dr. Muhwana, I know you have a lot to address when it comes to the harmonization of qualification. I want to bring it back to the PS. When the national chairperson was giving her opening remarks, she talked about a number of things. She talked about the schools haven't received capitation yet. She talked about the challenges of trainers in these institutions. We are having a conversation about rolling out a new program in 2019. Yet, those that are already there, we seem to have a sustainability problem. How are we then convinced that when we roll out this new program, which is equally expensive, things are going to be better?
Right. So what we're looking at are several issues here. At a national level, we're very delighted, actually, and we're very, very pleased that there's an overwhelming interest now from the youth. In fact, our enrollment rates have increased by 65%. Many of the institutions are actually doubling their enrollment, which is extremely good news because it means that young people have the foresight, they have the enthusiasm, they see hope within TVET skills and capacity developments and so on. We're looking at a national system that needs to accommodate at least 1 million young people. And we hope to achieve this by ensuring that our vocational institutions focus on a maximum of 2,000 students, our technical vocational centers approximately 7,000 students, and our polytechnics approximately 10,000 students. In this rapid interest, there has been a challenge in our national systems, and we are trying to address aspects of train the trainer as well as infrastructure and equipment. The government has approved through the last supplementary budget the creation of 15 additional institutions, and we will be asking for another 15 so that in 2 years' time we'll have 290 institutions. We're hoping to invest a lot more in infrastructure and equipment and train the trainer. There's been a tremendous amount of progress. The government expenditure in TVET has increased threefold, but it's still very little in comparison to this national system that we need to create. Mm-hmm. We're looking at further loans and support systems that build the necessary expenditure and facilitate the purchase of further equipment, train the trainer capacities as well as infrastructure. So this is an ongoing effort. Over the next 2 years, we'll see the entire rollout of the system. These concerns that Kati have raised are important. It's the sort of